Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Today we're going to be working on those channel locks, one of the items I picked up at the Steam show, and looking forward to getting to it, so let's get started. Okay, today we're going to work on these Channellock 437s that we picked up at the show, and it's just a real easy cleanup. But let me show you what we're going to do. First of all, before we even start cleaning up the handles or anything, they aren't chipped or broken, so they should come out nice. But before we start on that, we're going to take a soda can, and we're going to cut a 1-inch, or about a 1-inch strip all the way down the can, like this. And we're going to use that, cutting it in half. Just take about a 3-inch section like this off of there. And that's what we're going to wrap around these handles here. Wrap it around and put some tape on so that when we're wire brushing them, that it doesn't damage any of the rubber grip. Here's our post-wire brush evaluation. You could see that we got off all the rust inside around the blades, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take it over, and there's still some staining. You see this? That's some staining there, that rust staining. You're going to have to go below that. You know, you got to grind that off. It's just not going to go away. We're going to have to take it to the belt sander. Okay, this is coming out great. Now we got to work on the handles. Look at those handles, huh? Now, I don't like using chemicals right away, so the first thing I'm going to do, use some, we use this goop or any kind of hand cleaner that doesn't have abrasive in it, you know, the real soft stuff, and a soft toothbrush. You know, I've always been a fan of Channellock pliers, as you can see, but the diagonals, there's something pretty unusual about them, and let me show you. You can see here by one of their packaging, they used to sell pliers, and they were shrink wrapped on the back of this cardboard. This was what you saw on the back, and this had some of their lineup of Channellock, and this is about 25 years old, and I just put on the side of my shop, but you can see the diagonals over here, the different types of models they have, and they do have a diverse line of tools, and they've always been high quality and very economical. Now here's just a few of the different diagonals that they sell, different sizes, and you can see the early ones had their numbers stamped in here. They were different. This might be close to 40 years old. This was one of my first diagonal cutters I got, and here are the later ones, and they have stamped a little bit different. And I do like this stamping. I like the curving, and it looks very classic, so I like that. But what you might not realize about the diagonals is that they are an anvil type cutter. Now the best way I could describe what an anvil type cutter is, this is a shear type cutter, okay? And I'm showing this on some garden shears because they're expanded view. Now you could see here the blade passes side by side on another fixed blade, but the sharp blade passes side by side. The problem with these cutters is if you have something that's real difficult, it tends to want to get in between those two cutters and force them apart. And that's always been a problem with these, and that's why they have to be extremely sharp to work proficiently. This is an anvil type cutter. I much prefer these on all my landscaping and especially outdoor chores. And how that works is a blade comes down onto, this would be considered the anvil, and this is the blade, and it stops right there. And usually there's this has a little brass stop here so that you don't dull the blade too much when you press down. But this is a much preferred method of cutting, especially twigs and twine and things like that. It really works well because the blade is pressed into one spot instead of trying to shear it. Now what a lot of people don't realize is that your regular diagonal cutters are anvil style cutters. And when you look at it, you think it has too sharp, especially here, you say, well, it looks like there's too sharp, and people try and sharpen them. The truth of the matter is that one side is sharp. This side here, the left side, you could see is sharp, and you could see by that little light there, the surface, it's very sharp there. And this side here, you can see it's much thicker, This is the anvil side. So it's an anvil style cutter. When the blade comes down and meets the anvil, that's what gives you your cut. It comes down like that and presses and gives you the cut. So this is the only side you sharpen. This side here, again, is the anvil reception side. You leave this kind of dull. So, and you can even feel it. This is a little bit dull, and this one here is a little bit sharp. Now you know my favorite part of the video. Remember what they look like before we started. And we are calling these complete. Now you can see how nice they came out here, and you can see the 437 here. We polished them out again. This is much better than they came from the factory, but you can remember what they looked like before. And these are just absolutely beautiful. You know, I'm, as you know, a big fan of Channellock tools, and especially when they're polished out and whatever, and looks nice. But these are a really nice pair. The handles came out really beautiful, just like new, huh? That cleaner really works well on them. And then afterwards, I always just go over with that 50-50 mix, my homebrew mix of 50-50 Vaseline and mineral oil. But it's really nice, non-slippery, but still gives it a nice sheen to it. Let me show you how oil up the diagonals. What I like to do is I take a drop of oil and put it on each seam of the pliers, top and bottom, just a drop here. And then you see where this, on one side of the pliers, you'll see there's a swivel section. I put some oil around this circle here where it moves, and when you work it back and forth, you will see the oil working through, and you'll see some rust particles coming up as the oil works through. It'll float up any debris that's in there, and you could see how that's starting to come up. You see that rust? Well, you just work it back and forth, and the good part about this 3-in-1 oil, it has some cleaning properties in it, and you just keep doing that until it comes up clear. Just work it back and forth until this is nice and smooth. Now, these diagonal cutters are mostly made for electrician duty and things like that, for cutting small wire. Again, they're made to be really sharp, and these are sharp all the way up and down the blade. I made sure of that. Here's some larger multi-strand wire, and you could see that it just is super sharp up and down the blade, super easy to use. I love these. I always did. I love the fit and feel of these, and I'm really glad I picked these up for $2, and I think it was well worth the money. But they do clean up nice. If you see them at a show, don't hesitate to pick them up and put them back into service. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for tuning in. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.